This is the Commercial Landscapers Podcast, hosted by Dave Anderson and Robert Klinkenbeard. This show will absolutely transform your leadership by developing all aspects of your life in business, family, personal, and health. Only by fine-tuning yourself will you truly operate as a highly functioning leader. Welcome to the Commercial Landscapers Podcast. I am super excited today to have Pam Dooley on the call, doing some recording, sharing her wonderful wisdom. So a little bit about Pam, first of all. So Pam joined the green industry when you were 15. You worked alongside your grandfather in a local nursery garden centre. And then I think in 2005, you started up Plants Creative with a truck and a lawnmower, but now you have a pretty inspiring team of 50 plus people working down in the Atlanta area, and just a well-respected figure in the green landscape industry. So welcome this morning, Pam.
Thanks, Robert. Thank you for the opportunity to be on. This will be fun.
Yeah, no, I'm excited you're on and sharing your wisdom. So I'm going to go straight into it, Pam. And, you've obviously, I think it's fair to say that, unfortunately, there's, some women coming through the industry that is, is typically regarded as a male-dominated industry. So I would imagine you've probably gone through, a fair bit of struggles as you've gone into this industry. So I'd love you to share some of those challenges, some of those struggles, just, to be that inspiration for other people coming through the industry.
Sure. I can tell you, I do get asked that question a lot, just challenges, obstacles, struggles with being a woman in this industry. And, I go back to the same answer, and I reflect on it a lot, but, I have just always worked hard. I have always just treated people the same. And honestly, my experience in this industry is if you just treat people well, I've been treated well. And so I think, the biggest challenge, quite honestly, has been, about 10 years ago, transitioning myself out of the physical work and trying to recognize those physical limitations. But really, honestly, like obstacles and struggles for women in the industry, I would say just, there are resources. You can join peer groups, find mentors, and male or female, just find somebody that aligns with your values and your beliefs and who has business experience. That's been huge for me. And really just keep focused on one day at a time. Like I honestly that is how I have done it. I have not given a lot of thought nor, I guess, power to the obstacles. I have just really focused on, okay, what can I do to fix this problem? What can I do to fix this problem? And then I find resources, and I just have kept moving.
That's great. Who can we credit I love that mindset with the hardworking, treating people with respect. So who can we credit that type of mindset to?
Oh, gosh. It definitely has to go back to my parents. I'm from the Midwest, grew up in Indiana. My father there were literally two places to work where I grew up, General Motors and Walmart. My parents were employees of both. My dad was at General Motors, my mom's at Walmart. Tremendous work ethics, and just grew up with that mentality of, you knew your neighbors, you were respectful, and just really have always carried those lessons from my parents with me.
That's great. I can definitely relate to that a lot. So to think back, maybe some particular challenge. You talked about reaching out to, either peer groups or mentors, whatever those resources you reach to. So maybe think of, can you think of any stories in particular that, you've a challenge you've come up against and you reached out to somebody or a group, and just what type of help they gave you?
So for me, my biggest struggle in business is the financial side. I am just, and I know that this is like counterintuitive to business owners, but I am not a fan of my numbers.
No, I could relate to that.
So I have had to work really hard on that. And about 7 or 8 years ago, we built our current location, and it just hit me, okay, things are getting very serious. All of a sudden, I need to focus on my numbers and get disciplined in understanding them. And so that's when I reached out to the peer group for support. And, it's both the structure of the peer group, but it's the accountability. And the thing that really makes the peer group super powerful are the friendships and the networking that you form with the people in that group. And really worked to dive into balance sheets and P&Ls. I had no experience when I started the business. And so that was the power of the peer groups. And then networking at industry events and just building on that foundation from the peer groups has been significant in my journey.
That's great. Yeah, I've experienced some work with peer groups before, and you can't necessarily BS them because they're all in the industry, so they can call you out, compared to other non-industry specific peer groups. So I think, definitely peer groups was great. But what other, somebody asked me the other day about, what I thought about, fractional help or virtual help with specific subject matter experts, whether it be a fractional CFO or other type of resources to strengthen maybe just some of the weak areas, whether it be your financials or some other resources that you struggle with?
Sure. I believe in that. I believe in, whether it's in-house or whether it's partnerships with what I consider freelancers or independent people who have the right skill set to move us forward. I look for that. I'm a very collaborative person. I'm very aware of what I don't know, and very aware of the importance of just identifying those main responsibilities of the business and just really seeking any kind of support that I can surround my team with. Really, it's about, I have a couple of great people on the team who are numbers people. And so my job is to just get them, aligned with our books and understand the numbers. And just that way, I know I can keep focusing on what I want to do, how I want to spend my time every day.
Right. That's awesome. Now, you and I first met at a conference across in San Diego, and I think that's one of the things that really, attracted me to, what we've developed since then, just that ongoing relationship where you obviously respect the peer groups and other industry mentors, but there's obviously so many other resources out there which are non-industry, some inspirational speakers, so many resources out there that I think a lot of people are not necessarily exposed to. So talk to me about what type of benefits you get from, the Entre Leadership or Scaling Up or some of the other groups out there.
Yeah. So, oh man, I'm a learner. I love to read. I love to listen to podcasts. I feel like the biggest lessons that I learned are brought from outside our industry and can help move my company forward in terms of engaging with your people and culture and leadership and mindset and emotional intelligence, all of these skills that as leaders and as business owners that we have to really try to bring our A game every day. And so I look for these events that feature thought leaders that I read, that I study, and it has been a tremendous resource for me as a person first, and secondly, as a business owner for my team. It is the single most important thing, learning and curiosity, and just really learning how to ask the right questions is one of the biggest pieces of advice that I could give, because it's what I struggle with. You think you know the answer, but then you learn something, and then your perspective is challenged. If you can get outside of what you believe to be true, like don't seek resources that validate your beliefs, but seek resources that challenge them. The learning in that and what you can bring to your business every day is just tremendous.
Right. That's awesome. That's a great piece of advice. Can you think of any particular examples of maybe an event you've been to and you've just had that, had the light bulb moment, or maybe some 2 or 3, gold nuggets that you came away with that, again, non-industry specific, that you took back to your company and was game changing?
Sure. I think you mentioned it. I mean, Entree Leadership is a huge event. And I know we met at the one in San Diego, but the year prior was in San Antonio. And that was the first event that I had gone to of that magnitude. And oh my gosh, there were so many speakers. Seth Godin was definitely tremendous. And Alan Mullally of Ford,
right.
Condoleezza Rice, Donald Miller. So there was a really powerful.
That's a good lineup, yeah.
Right, and just having the opportunity to be around all of those people and to listen to these thought leaders. And I'll tell you, like a huge insight I had after that event was just thinking about today's generation and where our world is going in terms of, bigger purpose of companies and really transitioning from this and really having it make sense to me, because I think I've always thought a little differently in terms of, a business is to make money versus a business is to build people and make people happy, and then the money will come.
Right.
And so I just remember listening to Seth Godin, and the message was clear. Like, it just was a light bulb moment of going, you know what, the world is changing. And again, I've always believed that, but I've never understood what that meant. And so for 2.5 years, have just been really studying employee experience and performance engagement, and just really trying to build a company that our future leaders want to be a part of.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, and I assume you mentioned your employees. I mean, do you expose your employees to some of these events? You bring them along?
So I have not done Entree with them. So we have done Scaling Up together. We do, of course, right now there's virtual stuff. I had my people experience manager do a 1-day learning roundtable thing with Todd Henry, who is somebody that I follow. One of his best books is Herding Tigers, and he came to Atlanta. So pre-COVID, she had that opportunity to really learn about teams and people. So I do, and I am constantly sharing audibles mostly with my leadership team. And yeah, so they enjoy it and I enjoy sharing.
And what type of benefits do you see from doing that? Because a lot of people will, I don't know if I want them to be working, producing revenue. I don't want to spend the money on some of these learning events. That's the typical objections I hear.
So the benefit is just building a company of the future. I mean, there's only so much buy-in that I could ever ask of my team for me being the source of information. But when you expose people to learning and you expose them to thought leaders who align with beliefs that you align with in your company, it is way more than I could ever accomplish on my own as the owner. And so it's just an investment and them as individuals and growing them as people and knowing that the benefit of that for the company is tenfold.
Right. That's awesome. So we talked just before the recording started about how great the industry is. I mean, especially going through times like these where, everybody still needs landscape work done. It's just that, it's regarded as an essential service. But, I think we would hopefully both agree that I think the green industry is somewhat insular in terms of not giving many of the owners or members exposure to some of these other thought leaders out there. It's the same old people that are coming, giving talks every year in Louisville, and they're not getting exposed to some of these great speakers out there. How can we change that? How can we get more people exposed to some of these other amazing thought leaders?
Well, I think that you are doing a great job and educating yourself and continuing to learn so that you can pass that on to people that you engage and network with. I think our industry, our association has a tremendous opportunity to bring people in. I have a tremendous amount of respect for the trailblazers, for the people in our industry that have just really set a strong foundation. But I think that our association does have an opportunity to look outside, and not just an opportunity, but really a responsibility. And I can tell you something that I have worked on this year. We are having an innovation summit in conjunction with landscapes, virtual, live, whatever it becomes. And we have engaged in a speaker that I am so thrilled about. Listen to him in a 25 speaker summit, and we reached out and said, we are putting this together. Would you consider doing it? And he's on board. And so I think it's just having people with the growth mindset of always seeking to learn is really how we can get it started.
Okay, awesome. Thank you for that. So as we come to the conclusion of our call, what are, maybe to summarize, 3 or 4 words of wisdom or advice that you'd love to give to the listeners on this podcast?
I think that we have had, obviously, tremendous challenges over the last 4 months. And I know that for us, most specifically for me, when you're so wired to just really sprint and to just really grow, and it became difficult to recognize, for me, to kick into survival mode, because I am always in that mode of success. And I see one side of I look at it as a spectrum. One side is survival and the other side is success. And I think that, with everything that's happened this spring, we've really had to reset. And I think that one of the biggest things that hit me just about, 6 weeks ago was a call to action to my team. And we set goals, and early this year had a retreat and just really worked hard on company goals and aligning all of our individual goals with that. And then they just kind of, in survival mode, you're not focused on the future. You're just focused on the right now. And so it hit me, how can I really serve my team? How can I show up? How can I get them really focused? And it was a call to action. And we have recentered around our goals. There's also been a lot of acknowledgement of, hey, we haven't got that goal done. Move it to the next quarter, but just don't give up on it. And so I think that is the biggest thing, is find something that anchors, but don't let it hold you back. And also a call to action for your team. Get focused on the future. And that will really allow people to stay in that higher level thinking.
Yeah, and I think I can relate to that. I did a YouTube video the other day, and it talked about how a lot of people are just focused on, complaining or, relating back to, I've lost this much revenue, or, talking about the good old days. But I think now really you have to show true leadership. And I think you've done that through that call to action to your team, where you're now looking ahead. What are the opportunities ahead of that? How can we innovate? How can we take advantage of this? One of the terms I use a lot, how can we land grab? what opportunities are out there while other people are still in that negative or sleepy mode. So I think you're doing a great job by helping to motivate your team and keeping them going. So kudos to you.
Thank you. Yeah, there is tremendous opportunity right now in our industry. And we are just, we're staying the course, but we've also shifted in a couple of small ways, which I think has been, of course, necessary. But we're just staying the course and just trying to stay focused on what's next.
Awesome. Cool. Well, congratulations. If people want to get in touch with you to chat to you more, pick your brain a little bit, how would they get in touch with you, Pam?
Well, certainly through our website. All of my contact information is on there, plantscreative.com, or go through Robert and he can qualify. No, just kidding, Robert. Just kidding. But yeah, just plantscreative.com. And I would love to have a conversation with anybody that would want to.
Cool. Okay, well, thank you for your time today, Pam. It's been really insightful. Really appreciate your time and your stepping up and showing some true leadership there. So really appreciate it. Thank you very much, Pam.
Thank you, Robert. I really appreciate it.
This was the Commercial Landscaper podcast hosted by Dave Anderson, author of Leader is Not a Title, and Robert Klinkenbeard, author of The Ironman Mindset for Entrepreneurs. You can find more details about the show and the hosts at the radixgroupllc.com or thecommerciallandscaper.com.